Hi, everyone. This is Shannon Port, and I welcome you to the Art of the Feminine podcast today. Today, we'll be doing our solar feminine activation codes for March 2020. I'm coming to you live today on March 16th, and it's been about a month since I've been here, and what a difference a month makes. It's just an unbelievable time to be experiencing our humanity on this planet. And so today we are going to talk about how to heal. It's really how to heal and how to activate your feminine, subconscious, creative power. How to heal your feminine, subconscious, creative power. And so I think if there ever was a time that we are being asked to understand this part of our psyche, this part of it's really our soul, and it's really our inner subconscious feminine that connects us and links us with the entire soul of the world, the soul of the world, the soul of the planet, and the soul of the human race. It's our inner subconscious mind that we associate through correspondence with our inner divine feminine power. And so the inner subconscious mind is a lunar principle, but it's a water principle that holds both the fire and the water codes. And so within the subconscious power, we also have the buried solar force that gives us the power to experience the rise of our inner soul power. What's the word I'm looking for? Our inner soul seed, and to bring it into conscious union with our spirit. And so it's really our inner divine feminine principle. And so if you're not in touch with your subconscious mind, you're not going to be in touch with your inner divine feminine principle. All of humanity, we all have this within us. There's not a living human being that doesn't have a subconscious mind. It's just really a matter of, are you running your own subconscious feminine power, or is it being run for you? And so that's what it's the subconscious mind of humanity that dictates the collective consciousness, and it dictates what we see happening in the world. If we don't have that blueprint within us, we can't see it on the planet. And so whatever's happening collectively, whatever's buried within the underbelly of the human race is going to show up on the planet. And so right now we're seeing a time when the whole human race is coming to a standstill, basically, because of what we're experiencing on the planet, because of this virus that's being called a pandemic. It has brought the world almost to a standstill. And so there's something very, very significant about that, because it's a portal and it's an opening for us to understand that part of our psyche that we oftentimes are not tuned into. In a very strange way, it's an operation of the dark forces and the dark consciousness to try to seize humanity and to instill a lot of fear and suffering through the financial and through the fear that we're going to lose in the material world. But at the same time, it's bringing people into the hearth fire, into their homes with their families, and almost it's bringing us back to the table, the kitchen table. It's back to the table where we sit down and everyone has extra food, everyone has their supplies ready in case they're not able to go out. But what that's doing is it's bringing us into the feminine element of our lives. The feminine, it's often said that the home, the feminine, the hearth fire, food, gatherings, holidays, celebrating life, family, friendship, marriage, creativity, even the mystical falls under the domain of the feminine. And so in a strange way, although this could arouse a lot of fear, it's also bringing us back to take a really close look at who we are and where we want to go moving forward. All right, so I've got lots of things I want to try to squeeze into this video. Let's see, where shall we start? So the subconscious mind is a really close link with our soul. And in order to have a relationship with our soul, we have to understand what it is that we're carrying in our memory and our own inner Akashic record. Because it's everything that's coming from the outside has to find some kind of a match or a hook within us in order to get our subconscious mind to produce it in the outer world. And so that's why it's very powerful to understand the wounds, the genetic coding that we carry, and all of, when I work with people, when I do archetypal blueprint readings, we look into the subconscious mind and we look at what we're carrying, because it's what we're carrying that we're not aware of that will get us every time, and that will cause us to constantly repeat patterns over and over. And so in order to have this relationship with our subconscious mind, we have to have a conscious relationship with our conscious mind. In other words, we have to be able to fertilize our subconscious mind with a direct thought, or with a direct focus, or with direct attention. When you look at humanity, and I was making note of myself today. First of all, the number one thing that we have to have, even one of the highest requirement for ever entering into any real mystery lineage, to do the higher work and to do the advanced initiations to really awaken our consciousness, is that the very first thing that we have to be able to do is take accountability for our own actions, which means we have to be able to self-observe. We have to be able to have awareness of what we're thinking, what we're feeling, how we're spending our energy, how we're speaking, not only our outer words, but the very most important thing is our inner word. It's the inner word that is the most powerful creative force we have. It's our inner dialogue is 16 times more powerful than the words we speak in the outer world, because it's our inner word that is immediately having an effect on our subconscious mind. We never cease in our own inner dialogue. It's very rare. That's what meditation is meant to be. Meditation is meant to give us that space so that we can observe the inner dialogue. And when we come into a heightened state of inner union, we begin to, the language begins to subside and break away, and we begin to access our center. And when we do that, that's when there's a true rising up of our feminine consciousness, and it begins to flower into the light of the sun and really open our heart. It's in those moments of meditation that we experience a profound bliss and ecstasy that's being generated from our heart in sheer devotion. It's a devotion, but it's also a witnessing of the truth of creation. And I've talked about this quite a bit in the videos that I do, but when we have when the veil lifts on this world of polarity and duality, and we see the underlying fabric, we understand that there's the only substance that is in reality, this is a deep, deep part of the mystery, is love. In other words, there are many attributes that we take on, but love itself is not an attribute. Love itself is the reality. It's the one reality. And so in the alchemists and the initiates of the mysteries were preparing themselves to receive that on the inside, and to truly, truly make contact with this light, because this light is it's God in our reality. And once we know it's there, we can never go back. We know it's there. How we relate with it is determined by our own state of consciousness. So it's possible to relate to it from different states. but through our awakened state, through our highest state of spiritual union, we relate to it in purity. And so that's what I want to talk about. We're still in the sign of Pisces. We're getting ready to hit the equinox this week, and then the sun will move into Aries. But right now we're still in the sign of Pisces. So on the Pisces and Virgo axis, we see that Virgo teaches us that what we digest becomes what we create. And so when we look at the sign of Virgo, we're looking at what are we digesting with our mind, and how are we using our inner speak? How are we using our inner word? Virgo is ruled by Mercury, and Mercury is actually the planet of alchemy. Mercury is actually one of the correspondences for the high substance that we work with when we work with as alchemists. So what we digest, we will produce. And that's why it's so important to understand, what are we digesting? So I'm building up to what's happening in the world right now. We have to use discrimination and discernment. As we wake up, we begin to, so this is where I was going with this morning. I was really watching how most of us get up and we're going through our day and we have no idea why we're doing what we're doing. I mean, we have our intentions. We know we need to get this done. We have our list. We have our basic needs. We need to feed ourselves. We need to clean ourselves. We need to get to our jobs or do the work that we're here to do and relate to the people we're here to relate with. But most of the time we're doing that on a kind of autopilot. If we begin to observe ourselves, we begin to see that there's a thought, there's an impulse that comes through a thought and an inner dialogue for every single thing that we do throughout our day, which is profound when we get to the core of that. So I'm going through my day. There was a thought that took me here to this store. There was a thought that caused me to send that text. There was a thought, but most of the time we don't recognize the thought until we're already in the action. This could be said of, we don't recognize the thought until we're already in the state of illness, the state of sadness, the state of suffering, the state of poverty, the state of being without our own power or sovereignty. There was a thought that was planted that found its way into our subconscious mind that caused us to be in that state, and in that state actively it goes from being a dormant inner state to being an active state. Everything we experience was originally a state within us. So Virgo represents, then we just had the Virgo full moon, and I wasn't able to do a video for that. That's a whole story that I might, if I have time, I'll mention it. But Virgo is about what we digest, what we take in right now, because there's so much fear. There's a wave of fear on the planet. We have to be really conscious of what we take in. We need to be in touch with the outer world, and we need to have an understanding, a clear picture of how this virus is affecting our collective and our society, our culture, our movement in the world, our monetary system in the world, our health system, our governmental system, our culture. But at the same time, we want to be aware of how every time you digest something from an outer source, that source has been given access to your feminine, subconscious, creative power. And I'm going to say that again. Okay, every time you digest something coming from the outer, every time you give that authority in your life, every time you give that belief, every time you give that hope or attention, you've just given access to it's like you took off your clothes and you gave your naked self to be used. It's like you had intercourse with that thing, and it's truly what's happening. Because I've done a lot of videos on sexuality, and I always say this: everything is sexuality, everything is intercourse between two polarities. So Virgo gives us the power to know what we're digesting, and when we purify what we digest, we begin to extract through the process of digestion of the mind, digestion of the heart, the feeling force, and digestion of our physical body, our cells, how our cells eat. We once we become aware of how we use that power of digestion, discrimination, we determine what is going to get access to our inner body of pain or our inner creative power. So we have the Pisces axis is going to represent our subconscious mind. We just talked a lot about that last month. If you didn't see the video, the solar activation codes for the law of love, make sure to check that out because we talked about the subconscious mind, which is ruled by Pisces. And so that subconscious mind houses all of our pain, all of our suffering, all of our traumas, everything. And in the work of the divine feminine, the work I do, it's about understanding what you carry inside, because most of us go through our life and we're afraid to even look. When a really hardened masculine consciousness will block it out altogether, and the male side of the planet is a little bit more attached to protecting itself by not looking. And so that's when we get these out of control, ego dominated powers that have no understanding of the true underbelly. And then we get even worse. We get the darker forces that actually prey upon wounded subconscious feminine power and use it. So it's on the Pisces axis that we have this great power. And there's ways that we can use it and heal it and activate it. And I'm going to talk about those right now. I think I'll jump into that, and then I'll try to fit in a couple more things. So the first thing we have to do to heal or activate our subconscious feminine creative power is first of all, we have to be able to observe and activate our masculine power of focus and discipline. Everybody who has a subconscious mind has a God power. We say all the power that ever was or will be is here right now. Right now. If you are watching this video, if you have enough interest to understand that you have a subconscious mind, you have a God power that you can use right now. If you're breathing, because breath is the carrier of the divine. In alchemy, breath carries the divine. If you're breathing, you have consciousness inside you. You have ruach, you have prana, you have the life force. The God force has embodied in you, is incarnated in your body. So you have this power. If you're able to speak, if you're able to create, if you're able to get up in the morning, if you're able to interact, if you're able to make decisions, you have the God-given power. And we're so hypnotized and programmed to think that we've activated all these dormant states that make us crippled, and that literally create all kinds of states of vitality in our body through our health and through our emotions. We're constantly creating states that are very, very real. And we're also giving our power to the outer so that the outer is able to create those states as well. Through reversal, we create the outer, and the outer then can create us. It's a two-way street. So yes, it's very true that we're under these powers sometimes that do not have our best interest in mind, and that literally harness our creative power, and we no longer have access to it. But we do. That's the whole key to this video. We all have access to our feminine subconscious creative power. This is what the work of the divine feminine is, to really, really understand that sacred power that's been lost to us. The reason we call it sub is because it's underwater. We live in the world of mem, and we live in the world of water. And it's like we're living in a big subconscious mind. I talk about this a lot, but we're in a subconscious mind. We've fallen beneath, and we're in like an embryonic state, wanting to be fertilized by spirit, by the higher consciousness, so that we blossom into the full beings that we are. So the very first thing you need to know, we'll go through three things, is you have to know what you want. You have to know and clarify exactly what you want, what you desire, and what it is you know that you're meant to live in this lifetime, what it is you want. You can start where you are. It doesn't have to be this big, profound thing, but even starting with an immediate human situation, we all have situations of health, of finances, of family, of relationships, of love relationships, of creativity. Start with something you want. I often work with people to start where you're at right now. What would you like right now? And then begin to clarify that. The more the more clarity we have, the more we are able to activate our heart, and our heart creates feelings. And so once we create that inner visual of what we want, remember, visual and symbols activate are the language of the feminine and the subconscious. So once you have that image, you begin to activate it and your heart begins to feel it. And feeling is really the key. Once you can feel it, I bet everyone right now can just make note of a time when you were feeling not so great. And one thing happened, one thought happened, you saw one thing in a video, you got one text from somebody you love, you had one inspiration that happened, and within a split second, you felt differently and you were propelled into action that began a whole new stream of reality for you. I talk about this so much because it's so profound. You can be in the deepest depression. You can even be feeling very physically not well and have one thought that really makes it in, and it creates a feeling and a visual, and then you know what you want. This is what is key to understanding our feminine subconscious creative power. So we have to know what we want and focus it. So we're using our conscious mind, our masculine power, to focus and have the discipline to do that. Our world right now is filled with distractions constantly. And social media, it's a wonderful, wonderful tool. It's a great way to stay in, contact with people, but it's distracting. And if we give a little bit of our attention to every single thing we look at, first of all, we're dipping into everyone else's subconscious mind, because people share on social media what's happening within them. And so they're either sharing it unconsciously or consciously. And I would say a large part of what we see in any news feed is going to be coming from the unconscious or from the group think, what everyone's tapped into at that time. So be really discerning how you use your time, because your time is your God-given power to used for your own creative force that will enhance your life and enhance everyone's life around you when you're feeling that connection. Once you've been able to identify what you want, whether it's harmony in a relationship, beauty in a home, creativity and fulfillment in your work, love in your family, a better world around you, or a new career, once you're able to identify it and focus, your subconscious mind opens to you. Your male force is there and she opens right up and she begins to give you some energy. Through that energy, now we have the ability to produce and to act, because there's a power inside. And once you open her, she brings this massive force forward and gives you energy. The subconscious mind is created to our health, our energy, and our vitality. She's created to our vital body. And so once she aligns everything and begins to give us energy to create these things, once we have that, we start to act. And we're now making a commitment, because commitment is the very thriving force for the feminine. The feminine thrives in a commitment, because once there's a commitment, there's this stability and there is a relationship. That's why we talk a lot about the relationships falling under the domain of the feminine, because when there's when there's an investment, when there's a commitment, there's a foundation that we can produce and generate in a clear way. It's not all scattered all over the place. We've come in and given form, a structure, a chalice to hold the water. It's not just draining all over the place like it is for most of humanity most of the time, or being harnessed into a timeline that creates a specific outcome, which is what the whole outer reality is about. all the time. Now we have access to our own timeline. We become timeline creators. So once we have that, it creates the foundation for anything. It creates the stability and the rock. We could call it the philosopher's stone. It's in a way, because it's that foundation where all goodness and creativity is activated. Now, the third thing that we have to know is that once we're in union with our desired trajectory or projection, now we're going to we're in the alchemy, and so we're going to be creatively participating, consciously creating what we want, but we're also going to be transmuting. The best way I always feel to transmute is to do what you love, because naturally, whenever we enter into a relationship, a love relationship, a work relationship, the creative work begins, but also the transmuting and healing begin. So this is where we're now healing and activating. We've activated, but we're now healing. Once the relationship begins, now the mirroring happens. And all of those inner triggers that may be blocking us from the true reality of this love that we talked about, understanding the fabric of creation, are being called forth. Anytime you get a relationship, you get healing. So now you're going to be all the blocks and the patterns, the challenges that come while you're creating will give you the opportunity to heal through creativity. And anyone, I can say this in my own business, in my own work, in anything I do. And we get better at it because we strengthen those muscles. We gain strength. We gain the ability to navigate the emotional body, to navigate our reactions, our triggers, our fears. But we're doing it through something that's fulfilling. And so it's so rewarding to do it. We know there's going to be hard times, but we embrace them. And we use our conscious creative power to call forth the solutions, the solutions, through our soul and through our subconscious mind. So just going to take a breath and slow down. So those three things, just to run over them, they're three quick things. Know what you want. In a time right now, tune into the outer, be aware of what's going on. But now what do you want to do with that? This is a time when I was just talking to my partner that I'm working with right now. We were talking about how the whole world is shifting. Everyone now is having second thoughts about what they do and how they spend their time. I know for me, I work at home and I work online, so my life hasn't changed at all. I'm continuing to do what I do because this is how I'm working. But a lot of people are going to be shifting their careers in the near term, and just the whole paradigm is shifting on Earth right now. Everything is shifting. So understanding the feminine power that has been lost to most of humanity is huge right now. So once you get once you know what you want, you're going to feel it and then take action. Begin down that path. It takes courage, but you're going to begin and you're going to use that creative process to heal. Every fear will come up. Every illness will come up and try to stop you. I mean, it's when we self-observe and watch ourselves, we will see how all of the fears that we have of actually activating in the world will come up. And that it leads us to and we make commitment. We make a commitment, though. We commit to ourselves and we form relationships in the outer world with what it's going to take. Almost nothing is really done by ourselves. Everything in this world takes relationship. The feminine falls under the domain of relationships. We have the masculine and feminine domain. That when the feminine is the we, it's Libra. And so we're going to be talking about Aries and Libra next month. The feminine is the we, Aries is the I. We need the feminine ruled by Venus needs the we. Aries needs the I, and it's important that we develop both of those. So I'm going to get ready to close out now. But I just want to say there's a lot of reasons why the world is changing so much right now. Some are saying it's a karmic wave. Whether these things are man-made, God-made, dark forces made, whatever it is, the answer is always the same. Activate your own inner power and find love. Love is a magnetizer. Love will the feminine heals by bringing things to itself. The patriarchal world wanted to go out and conquer, go out and convert, go out and dominate, go out and revolutionize. The feminine healing power lights up, activates, and calls her children in and passes on the seed of awakening. And then we go out into the world, and in our daily lives, it's a spreading wave of love right now. So what's happened is that a lot of the things that have started out truly meaning well have been converted into a war. And so even a lot of spiritual communities and inner societies and lineages that carried a lot of wisdom became more wanting to go out and wanting to go out and get justice or go out and convert. And what happened was they got tangled up in the trap of the dark, which is all about money, war, production, domination, control. And so even a lot of the spiritual lineages got involved with that, and it becomes the power is diluted, and then worse than that, inverted. And so right now is a time of we're activating our divine feminine. It has to start within us. And it's a different way than we've previously experienced. We'll have groups, we'll have communities, we'll still have teaching, we'll still have leaders. We need leaders. But the way we go about trying to make change is going to change. And so we're in a time where we're calling forth new leaders. A lot of people that hold these deep codes of wisdom are waking up now and understanding that. So let me just go see if there's the collective subconscious mind. We talked about that. We see the collective shadow. Remember, are you running your own subconscious mind, or is the outer running it for you? Check in with yourself. Make sure to watch why you do what you do. I have something to share. So I subscribe to a very well-known newspaper, one that I had read for years and years and years, because I'm from New York City, or I spent many years and always read the New York Times. So I recently subscribed because I wanted to check in with everything. It was been about a month, even though I'm very much aware of the media and how I'm very, very much tuned in with the media and how, how it's used. But I still wanted to tune in. But I can tell you, the moment I tapped into that, the moment I started receiving the text messages, the moment those emails started coming in, I saw my own mind start to carve out little paths and take little actions. And they start out small, but then they build up. And then you get into the wave. It's a big collective wave. And once you're in the wave, you're projecting a timeline. We talk about the law of suggestion, but it's so powerful. Observe this and know where. It doesn't mean we can check in and know. And that's what my intention was, to check in and know, but to also be aware how you use your power. Only you can decide that in the secret of your own mind. If you're awake, you have to. And part of the path of waking up is taking a responsibility for how you use that power. Some people aren't even there yet. They have no idea they have that power. But if you know you have it, you become more and more accountable to yourself, which makes you so valuable in this world. Let me just check really quick. It's the distraction that gets us. It's our human God power. And we said this at the beginning, but I wanted to close with it. The heart is the vehicle of connection. The heart is the vehicle of creativity, and the heart is the vehicle of love. When we join our conscious and subconsciousness, we open our heart, and anything is possible. Don't cling too tightly to the story that you have about your life, about why things are the way they are, because chances are you're giving your power to someone else when you do that. We all get to do that. We all have our free will to do that. But once you take your power back, you will realize that life starts on that day. And so, all right, there's so much to talk about. We're going to be doing the Aries full moon. I haven't done a live stream in, it's been over a month and a half. We'll be doing an Aries Aries new moon, which is hugely important for these times that we're in, activating your I am and your ability to be in the world and claim that sovereignty for yourself. But I'm going to do that this week, and it's I'm really looking forward to connecting with people and hearing your questions live. Make sure to I'll come back and check questions here. I'd love to hear from you. If you enjoyed the video today, please make sure to give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed, make sure to subscribe and also hit the gray notification bell, and you will receive a notification when we do our live streams, and you can come participate in the chat. That being said, I think that's it for now. The other thing is, this is huge. Once we start transmuting, the key to transmuting is love yourself. The feminine is loving the self with a capital S in the outer. The masculine lineages, which I've been very much a part of, are about finding the self within, that blissful sacred union, which is so divine. Feminine lineages, the polarity begins to see that self in every act we do, in every relationship, in every being. So if you can only see it in yourself, you haven't seen it. God, the self, exists in everything that we project. So in knowing that, we forgive, we have compassion, and we watch our judgment. We watch as much as we can not to judge others, because when we judge others, it comes back to us in a way that's really painful. And the more awake you are, the more painful it comes back. So I think I will end on that. There's so much more, but I'm going to move it over into the Aries new moon live stream that we'll do this week. And so, all right, that being said, we have equinox coming up this week, and I am getting ready to start a 3-month mentoring process that I go through with where I work with you one-on-one. And so if you're interested in it, I mentioned it a little bit in the last video. I'm getting ready to go through and interview and talk with people, but I'll be doing a 3-month program through the spring, starting around the equinox, working with the divine feminine wisdom and directly applying this archetypal wisdom to your life so that you're able to also really integrate it and really own it, to really know what it is so that you can use it in your work and in your lives, in your relationships, in your creativity. So if you're interested in that, I'll come back and put a link, and you can just email me, and I'll send you more information. So that being said, really, really wishing everyone the highest health, the highest joy in your home right now with your loved ones. Your experience of the feminine hearth fire in your home, coming back to that place of really looking and understanding who we are as a humanity. And so we'll close with I am. I am before me. I am behind me. I am at my left. I am at my right. I am above me. I am below me. I am unto me. And then you take a deep, deep breath in and hold it for just a moment, activating your solar plexus, and exhale. I am, I am, I know I am. I am, I am, I know I am. I am. This is the truth about the self and about all beings. And so I will see you next time. Namaste.